All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Go 24/7 podcast. We've got Dylan Sanders. We've got Glen West. My name is Bryce Koon. And it's a reaction podcast. Had to get this one up quick as the breaking news, LSU quarterback Walker Howard is reportedly entering the transfer portal after meeting with the coaching staff. And so, guys, let's roll right into this. Glenn, I'll start with you. I mean, look, I think you wrote the article coming out of the Citrus Bowl that this was something where it felt like the quarterbacks were going to be there at least through the spring or getting to the spring, and kind of this big domino falls. Kind of walk me through your reactions as the news is kind of breaking.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably just the initial reaction is much like everybody else. It's kind of a little bit surprised in terms of the ultimate decision. I'm not really surprised by the timing of this because you do have until January 18th to enter your name into the transfer portal. That's kind of the deal here with the NCAA. So, I would say probably the more shocking decision was just his decision to enter the portal in the first place. I really thought, especially after Brian Kelly met with the media on, right after the bowl game, that they seemed pretty confident that these three quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, and Walker Howard would all be on the roster entering the spring. So the fact that you're losing one of them now, I think, is a little bit of a shock to the system. And, we certainly have seen that with the reactions on social media and certainly on our board here. But I think you were always going to lose one of these guys. I think it was just a matter of would it be Nussmeier or would it be Howard? I think now this coaching staff has to go all in on Garrett Nussmeier and let him know that he is the unquestioned future of this program, that they absolutely need him to be able to compete in the long term here. I just reading what we've been told and what Sonny's been told. Those communications have been made to Nussmeier, and I think they've been reciprocated well. It sounds like Nussmeier doesn't plan on leaving as we record this pod. But you never know. I mean, that's the thing about the transfer portal is you never know what's going on behind the scenes with these guys. But all indications are, look, if you can have a quarterback room entering this fall of Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, Ricky Collins, with obviously the freshman recruit in the 2024 class, Colin Hurley, coming up. That's still a very strong room, and I think that's the ultimate takeaway you have to find from this, and that's pretty much my, I guess, early thoughts on all this.
Yeah, we're going to be detailing those throughout the rest of the week, kind of what it means for the quarterback room. Dylan, I want to throw this to you because I think this is interesting too. I mean, you've kind of talked about this a little bit, and Glenn touched on it. I mean, this, in my opinion, obviously you guys have covered the program longer than I have. This kind of maybe solidifies or makes me feel a little more comfortable that Nussmeier is going to be in the fold next year. I mean, that this is a guy that is going to be staying on campus. Kind of walk me through. Is that kind of what you're feeling as well? And with this transition.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think this happens if Walker doesn't feel as though Nussmeier is the guy in 24, or at least the guy right now, because I don't think Walker was entering the offseason expecting to be the quarterback in 2023, or at least I don't think he should have, because nobody should have. I think it was clear that he was number 3, far behind the other two guys. So I don't think this is a reaction to Jaden Daniels coming back. Oh, let me leave. I'm obviously not the guy. This is Nussmeier's team in the future. I'm going to go ahead and move on and get my looks elsewhere. A lot of people are blaming Jaden Daniels immediately for this, and I just feel like he has absolutely nothing to do with this decision. This was Howard versus Nussmeier. And the guy that a lot of people thought would win out didn't. I thought a lot of people thought it was okay. Well, Nuss is going to transfer, and then Walker will take over. It just looks like that's going to be the next thing. I don't think that Brian Kelly and this coaching staff will let Nussmeier leave the team now. Yeah. If anything, they're going to have him on lockdown, and this kind of fits. Nussmeier. A lot of people, myself included, thought he was going to leave, but he has never wavered in his support and look to the future as him being starting quarterback at LSU one day. He just seems to be more open to waiting for that opportunity than some people thought he was going to be.
Yeah, and I just want to bounce off that real quick too, because I think Dylan brings up a great point. But after the SEC championship game, we got a chance to talk with Garrett in the, I guess side of the arena or side back in the bowels of the whatever Mercedes-Benz Stadium that was, and he pretty much was talking like a guy who had no plans of leaving. He talked a lot about shifting focus to the off season and about getting in the right work, improving with this offense and improving the chemistry with these weapons that they have coming back. So I know that things have changed quite a bit since the SEC championship game, but he's been saying all the right things, and it sounds like he's been backing it up with his actions behind the scenes as well. So I'm still very much on that Nussmeier train, Nuss bus. We were, we were on that last summer here at the site. At least I was very early on. I thought he was going to be a real stud for LSU this last year, and he showed flashes of real improvement. And I think if you can continue to see that from him this offseason, I'm not saying that LSU is going to go to a true 2 QB system here, but there's no way that Nussmeier doesn't play next year some. And I think he plays some significant snaps as well. I think there's opportunity for him out there to certainly see the field often. And I think LSU's quarterback position, our quarterback room, is still in really great position here as we enter the offseason. If you can get through the next week is crucial because January 18th is the final date that players can enter the portal. So that's going to be the date to watch. I would be stunned if LSU lost both Nussmeier and Howard in this cycle in the next week. But again, this is college football in the name, image, likeness era. I mean, you just never can predict these things from a reporter's perspective in terms of just the behind the scenes that could be going on with other programs and with other interested teams out there.
Yeah, and Sonny's been detailing on the boards, and if you're a VIP member, if you're not, make sure to sign up because this is how this news continues to develop even as we're recording and launching this podcast. But at TCU is one of the programs that has kind of emerged as an early favorite. TCU did lose a transfer quarterback to Cal today. Obviously Duggan, I think that he made his intentions known to enter the NFL draft well before the college football playoff. But look, if he's off to TCU or Florida or wherever we may see him go, I do like what both of you guys said. This quarterback room, if you keep, and I love that, the Nuss bus, if you keep that in Baton Rouge and then the talent that can come around it. So I want to pose this question, guys. I mean, and Glenn, we'll start with you. We'll go back down to Dylan. Do you think a sense of this, and Dylan hinted at this, but that maybe Walker Howard saw the writing on the wall with the current guys that are in that quarterback room, but maybe down the line of there's some serious competition coming into Baton Rouge over the next couple of classes?
I think so. I agree with Dylan there as well. I think there's I would be shocked if we come to learn that Nussmeier didn't have any indication that Howard was entering the portal. I think this had to have been discussed with all these quarterbacks. I know that Walker went in to meet with the coaching staff on Wednesday to let him know of his decision, but this is a quarterback room that's very tight. I have a feeling that Walker let Nussmeier and Jaden Daniels know of his decision. I don't know that for a fact. I'm not reporting it, but that's kind of the indication that I get from this. And just, I think that this is going to be a really interesting spring between Nussmeier and Daniels because I think you've got two, not only just starting caliber quarterbacks in your room now, you have two quarterbacks that I think could legit lead you to a championship. I think those guys are that talented, and I just think that they're going to find ways to get Nussmeier on the field. I don't think it's just going to be in, warm-up time in the fourth quarter where you just get a few snaps then against a Southern or something. You've got two guys that I think can go out and win you games in different ways. And whether that's a true 2 QB system, you've got to do whatever you can, I think, to hold on to Nussmeier. Let him know that he's going to be a huge part of your future because he's an absolute gunslinger. He can throw that ball, man. He is really, really talented. And LSU would be in a really, really bad position if they lost both of those young quarterbacks.
I also think it must be stated, we're talking about the current of the program, but Bryce also hinted at the future of the program in that we can't forget that this is not your daddy's LSU team in terms of what question marks abound at quarterback.
Yeah.
You have 4-star Ricky Collins coming in this year, who fits the offense they run right now, I think, perfectly. He's not ready to run it, but his development timeline seems to fit that. He has made some of the most draw-dropping plays I've ever seen a high schooler make. Some crazy throws. He looks to be really good. He can compete in the future. And then a guy who will at least be a 4-star by the time he comes to LSU in Colin Hurley, who is the team's biggest brand ambassador already. So LSU, I think, will be fine. The quarterback room will be fine. But in the immediate, they have to keep on to Nussmeier, and I have no doubts that they will.
I want to pose this question because I think this is really good, and I was literally typing up the board post. I said, you know what, I'll just throw in the podcast. I'm new here, but I'm of the camp that you can't coach, you can't build your team in fear of the transfer portal. You have to have the best 11 guys on offense, the best 11 on defense. So look, we've already seen some colorful, creative board posts about it. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. In the modern day, I think it's a good time to kind of talk about this with the enter of the transfer portal for Walker Howard. I mean, look, you hinted at it, Dylan, on a board post earlier. Whatever happens in the spring, whoever starts game 1 against Florida State down in Orlando, this team, this offense will be better for it. That's just kind of my opinion, and wanted to see your guys' thoughts on that. You can't coach in fear of the transfer portal. You got to let the best guys win the job. And so if Howard didn't feel like he had a shot, he leaves. I mean, look, nothing personal against the kid. You know, he has the opportunity to go do just that. But this is a sense of where he knew he saw the writing on the wall. And so, you know, how do you guys feel about that statement? I'm not in the camp of coaching in fear of the portal.
I'm not saying that this is what happened. This is purely hypothetical. But if Walker Howard were to go to Brian Kelly and say, start me in 23 or I'm going to leave, he'd say, well, have fun at your Brian Kelly would say, have fun in your like future endeavors. Like you don't say no to Jaden Daniels coming back because Walker Howard is thinking about leaving. You bring in all of the talent. And this is also a thing of, if you have a ton of good quarterbacks, go get you another one. You with quarterback, you bring in any name that you can, and if they leave, they weren't right for your program. It wasn't meant to be, and just move on. I completely agree. You don't do anything with the fear of someone leaving. You do what you think is best for your team right now.
Yeah. I agree on that. I agree on all that. I think, you know, probably the biggest thing for me is this offense was so tailored to Jaden Daniels this last year. I'll be really interested to see what kind of wrinkles, what kind of hiccups they might throw into it this offseason with another year with both of these guys in that room. If they can, not tailor it towards Nussmeier, but just make it a little bit more Nussmeier friendly, in terms of some opportunities that could arise for him. I'm still, there's a lot of people that, want to blame this on the fact that Jaden's returning. I don't think people realize just how much LSU won those 5 straight games in the middle of last season because of Jaden Daniels. He was the catalyst behind those performances. Even if he wasn't throwing it for 350 yards, 400 yards a game, he was doing it with his legs. He is one of the most unique athletes I think that's ever come across the SEC at the quarterback position. He is so fast. And I don't mean just like Hendon Hooker or Johnny Manziel fast. He is like 4.3 speed fast. That is different for a quarterback. And so you have to take advantage of that if you're LSU. And so I do think there are going to be some real good opportunities for Nussmeier to see the field next year. I think that LSU has got to hold on to him. No doubt about it. Just recapping this thing in a jiffy, he has to be on this roster next fall if you want to feel really good about your quarterback situation in the future. And I have no doubt that Brian Kelly and this coaching staff and all the people that are involved are making that known to him behind the scenes, because they absolutely need him. He's crucial now. You got to hold on to him.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, too. I mean, look, it's this day of age college football. What type of NIL opportunities are now being offered to both of those guys to get them to stay? I mean, obviously, Daniels is staying, but Nussmeier, I guarantee you there's some conversations happening. But, hey, now we really got to put together an effort to keep him there. We got to get through the rest of this week, and then we'll see what happens. But, guys, appreciate you joining, hopping on and talking about this breaking news. And for you listening, if you're listening in podcast form, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like it. Leave us a 5-star review. Comment what you think. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down below, like the video. That helps us in the algorithm. And as well, make sure to comment your thoughts on, this is a big one, Walker Howard entered the transfer portal. If you're not a VIP member of Go 24/7, there's not a better time right now to become that. We got I would say we're getting closer to a full staff. We're doing a lot of great things, a lot of stuff. And look, this coverage is not just pertaining just to this podcast. We're going to have great stuff on the site, VIP and free, that we want you to be a part of. He's Dylan Sanders. He is Glen West. I'm Bryce Koon. This is the Go 24/7 podcast. We'll catch you next time. We'll have to bring in Sonny Ship, who's doing all the hard work behind the scenes while we're sitting in front of a camera talking about it. We'll talk to you next time.